Good evening. The American footprint in the war against ISIS is about to get bigger. And whether you call it boots on the ground or advisors, as the White House is calling it, for the first time, American ground troops are going to be based inside Syria.
In late 2015, President Obama announced that the United States would be deploying troops into Syria to fight ISIS. The number started with 50, which soon became 250. In October of 2017, a U.S. general said that there are 4,000 troops in Syria, but 2 months later, the Pentagon put the number at 2,000. As of this video's publication, the consensus seems to be 900 U.S. troops currently occupying Syria, and U.S. forces have occupied the country, or at least parts of it now, for almost a decade, with every president from Obama to Trump to Biden launching airstrikes inside of the country. But why?
We've taken control of the oil in the Middle East, the oil that we're talking about, the oil that everybody was worried about. The U.S. has control of that.
In March of 2020, Tom Bowman, an NPR reporter embedded in Syria, told the publication that President Trump initially wanted all U.S. forces out of the country, but agreed to keep a small number of about 600 or so to secure oil fields not only from ISIS, but also from the Syrian government and Russian forces as well. If Syria's oil is to be kept from what remains of ISIS, from Russia, and from Syria, who actually gets to keep it? In April 2020, Delta Crescent, a newly formed U.S.-based oil company with ties to the Republican Party, was granted a one-year sanctions waiver in order to advise and assist oil production in northeast Syria. An anonymous State Department official told the Daily Beast that U.S. officials decided oil produced in northeast Syria did not really belong to the Syrian government. By August, CNN reported that Delta Crescent, which was formed for the sole purpose of securing Syrian oil, was granted an exclusive sanctions waiver to develop oil fields. When the Biden administration took over in January of 2021, throughout much of the year, the company reportedly continued to receive waiver extensions as a formality meant to help Delta Crescent wind down operations. By 2023, Delta Crescent's website no longer exists, and UK-based oil company Gulf Sands, which holds investments in Syria and has founding ties to Delta Crescent, announced that they are coming up with ways to find, quote, indigenous solutions to Syria's humanitarian crisis. Gulf Sands labeled their humanitarian drilling mission Project Hope and claims it will sell oil through accredited traders, with revenues going towards paying for humanitarian projects. And while Western powers deliberate on which favored companies will be gifted the rights to drill in Syria, several media outlets have published reports showing long lines of U.S. convoys transporting tankers allegedly full of oil from Syria to U.S. bases in Iraq. And while the United States denies it's stealing oil from Syria, it's hard not to believe such accusations when everyone from U.S. presidents to U.S. senators are blatantly insinuating otherwise.